Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way for a evening briefing. Is that what we're going to call it? Sort of TCW Reacts, evening briefing, whatever you want to call it. We're here a couple of hours after the press conferences have finished. My name's Ryan, and I'm delighted to be joined by Tony Haggerty on the channel as always. Tony, how you doing this evening?
I'm very well, very well. Enjoyed that today. It's always hard work, but we get through it. But I enjoyed listening to Brendan and Liam Scales today, so yeah, all good.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got plenty to discuss, including a new contract signing for one of the people that faced the media today, one of the players that faced the media today. He's signed a new 4-year deal that we're going to talk about in a bit more detail. Also talk about what Brendan Rodgers had to say. But first of all, we'd like to thank Weissman and MPH Boilers who sponsor the podcast and all the videos that we do at the moment. We're proud to have Weissman, who are a global leader in the boiler industry, known for top-notch German engineering, sponsor our podcast. And what's more exciting, they've teamed up with Scotland's very own award-winning installation team, MPH Boilers, making this a perfect match right here in Scotland. Weissman's boilers are engineered to deliver not just warmth but unparalleled efficiency and reliability. We're talking about cutting edge technology that's designed to save you on energy bills and reduce emissions. And with MPH boilers, you know you're getting service from the best in the business, a local team that's committed to excellence and customer satisfaction. As part of this incredible partnership, when you choose a Weissman boiler installed by MPH Boilers, you'll also get a free internet controller, making it a breeze to manage your heating anytime, anywhere. Plus, they're offering the first year's service free. It's all about giving you peace of mind and making sure that you're looked after. So if your boiler's showing its age or you're considering an upgrade, this is your chance to get world-class engineering with local expert service. Weissman and MPH Boilers, it's a match made in Scotland. Make sure to check them out and take the first step towards a warmer, more efficient home. All of their links are in the description, and I will just bring up the Celtic Way subscription offer. 6 months of access for just £1 plus a free Kyogo Furuhashi print from renowned football artists made by Frankie. We've had some more images of people getting them sent in today, including somebody that put it in a frame that I've reposted on the Twitter account or the X account, whatever you want to call it. If you want to see it, then check out our X channel, and you'll be able to see exactly what it looks like in A3 format in a frame. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. You'll get all the press conference stuff from today. There's another article coming out from Tony later on tonight, as well as a Liam Scales one from further comments that he made later on in the day, as well as Alan Morrison's piece on Adam Ida and Hyungwoo Oh. It's basically a comparison video between those two players. So if you are interested, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Thank you to the people that have joined us so far. I think we need to talk about not the elephant in the room, but the fact that another player has signed a contract extension, another 4 years for Liam Scales. It keeps him at the club until the summer of 2028. It's been something that's been working. I think it's been worked on in the background for a wee while now, but now it's been confirmed. What's your immediate thoughts, Tony?
My immediate thoughts are well done, Liam Scales. He's deserved his new contract because he's done a job. But I think, like everybody thinks, Ryan, for next season, I think Celtic, they need an upgrade, don't they? In central defensive partners who are going to play alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers. I don't think that's any slight on Liam Scales. I think he's been a stellar performer in the season and has done very well and earned his new deal, which has been bubbling away on the surface, and Celtic have confirmed that today. But if you're asking my personal feelings about Liam Scales, I think he's did a job. He's been competent, but I think I think Celtic's ambitions need to be to sign players of a higher quality and higher calibre if they're to have serious domestic ambitions, but even more serious ambitions in Europe. So for me, Liam Scales will revert to a squad player next season, or he should, because I want to see top-notch defenders brought in. Not clearly Gustav Lagerbielke and Mike Nawrowski don't have a future, or I would conjecture that they might not have a future at the club. Certainly Lagerbielke, don't know if they're maybe going to be willing to give Nawrowski a pre-season to see how he shapes up. But I still want a better calibre of central defender than Liam Scales, and that's no slight on Scales' ability. He's did a job. Celtic have muddled through parts of this season, but I think the last while the deficiencies have been laid bare, and laid bare is the phrase, Ryan. And Yeah, but I have to say, commend him for going from bit part player or fifth or sixth in the pecking order to the natural first choice beside Cameron Carter-Vickers this season. And well done him on earning his new deal, because he's earned it the hard way. And now the challenge for him is to see if he can become an automatic pick next season. But if you're asking me, Celtic need to go in to the transfer market because they need better central defenders, and I think that's not an unreasonable summation about the new deal and about where Celtic are at this moment in time.
No, totally agree with everything that you're saying. Please, in the comments, if the sound does sound a wee bit better than what it was, I was charging my microphone up, and I
Does
tried
now?
to do it the one time. Does it sound okay, Tony?
Yeah, it sounds fine now. Yeah, right,
Ideal,
okay.
ideal. That's all good. Yeah, I do agree with everything that you're saying with regard to Scales. I think I think he's a good squad signing and a player that can come in and quite happily be backup and will play X amount of games a season. But Celtic need to have better for the Champions League
Yeah,
next season. Although Liam Scales was one of Celtic's better players, you would say, in the Champions League, especially in the games against Lazio and Atletico Madrid, where they did oh so well. Well, more so the Atletico Madrid game than the Lazio game, but they played well against Lazio. Um, he's definitely got a part to play, but at the same time, I would be expecting better to come in the summer. Maybe that
yeah.
means Welsh leaves, Lagerbielke leaves, Nawrowski leaves. It'll be an interesting summer in that position. Nobody wants to talk about it, but there could even be suitors for Cameron Carter-Vickers, which would force Celtic's hand even more. I think you need that continuity. I'm not saying that Liam Scales is anywhere near the level of Cameron Carter-Vickers because he isn't, but you need that continuity in the team, and he's been a first choice for a reason. Yes, there's been injuries, but he's also had good performances. Don't want to gloss over the good performances that he's had this season because it feels as if everybody's quite negative about the player. I get that. I get that he's not been great recently, but in the first half of the season, he was holding Celtic together in the back line, and I think he's deserving of his spot, but I think that Celtic need better in the months and years to come.
And I think those good games have been rewarded, Ryan, by the announcement of this 4-year deal today. That's what hard work and endeavour has got you, and been, the sticking plaster and some of the glue that's held the Celtic defence together at times when you thought, or lots of supporters feared the worst. I'm thinking the first game at Ibrox in particular when Kyogo made it 1-0 and him and Scales and Gustav Lagerbielke performed out their skin. I think Scales got the man of the match that day, stuff like that. So we can't ignore what he has done this season, and that has manifested itself in a 4-year deal. But if Celtic are lucky to be in the newly revamped Champions League, recalibration needed here, Ryan. New UEFA Champions League competition equals new Celtic. There has to be a new way of thinking going into this competition. And I'm not assuming Celtic are going to win the league. I'm saying if they're lucky enough to be in this new competition, our whole strategy has to change. We have to get better quality players in. And that better quality player starts with your goalkeeper and your defence. And I want Celtic to sort that out. It's something that's bubbling away. It's for the future because we have games to negotiate and win this title. But I want a recalibration and a rethink and a refresh from Celtic if they get this over the line and go into this new branded Champions League format. I don't want a near Beaton situation where he's drafted in to play centre back. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting with Liam Scales. I want better defenders. I'm putting it out there right now. I've said it for a while. I want better defenders. And I want an upgrade on Liam Scales. Someone of the calibre and ilk of Cameron Carter-Vickers will do nicely for me. And people say, well, who are they? Well, that's what your scouting team's for. Go and find them. And but you have to say Scales has done particularly well to earn his deal, and you have to big him up for that. And hopefully that's a weight off his mind and he gets on with the job at hand in the next 4 games and helps Celtic see it over the line.
That's it. He definitely got Celtic out of a hole, especially earlier on in the season. You think August, September, October time, where he was really drafted in due to the exodus of strikers due to injuries. Cameron Carter-Vickers Welsh, just hours after signing his contract, was out for 3 months. He was going to be that player that was stepping in. Then he got an injury, so it forced Celtic's hand once again to go and sign somebody else. That came in the form of Nat Phillips. That didn't go well at all. Scales has been the one permanent in that team. I'm just going to gloss through some of the press conference before we get on to talk about Brendan Rodgers, because I'm aware that he spoke at length about a number of things today. And as much as it's good to talk about Scales, we need to talk about the manager in the press conference as well. Scales was just delighted with the fact that he's got it signed. He was talking about the manager being such a big influence on him signing his new deal, because the big thing for him was the big deal for him, and I used that as the headline on today's article that's on the website, was the fact that the manager wanted him at the club. He wanted to be somewhere where he was needed and wanted by the incumbent manager, and that was the case from very early on. So he made his mind up pretty quickly that Celtic was where he wanted to be. He's talking about how there needs to be improvement in his game. He's not going to stop where he's at, but he's happy with how his seasons went. Yes, there's individual games that he could have done better in. I think anybody could say that about Liam Scales, but he's had some really good performances too. You're hoping that there's another bit of improvement to go from him. He's only 25, 26 years old, just heading into his defensive prime. This is his breakout season for Celtic. You never know. He could go up a level once again. I'm not writing any player off. Late bloomers can happen in the game, and it'd be a nice surprise to see Liam Scales get to an even higher level than what he's playing just now, because at the moment, he's one of the first names on the team sheet for Celtic, whether that's due to Nawrowski's lack of form or lack of game time or injuries. He's in the team for a reason. He's there on merit, and it looks like he's going to be there from now until the end of the season.
Yeah, he will be in the team between now and the end of the season. But he has to perform, and this is where he'll get noticed the most. If he can perform under this pressure, get 4 high-pressure games coming up, 5 including the cup final, Ryan. But I'm focusing on Hearts tomorrow. But, so this is where you earn everything. This is where you turn and say, I've won that contract because I helped Celtic to Premiership and Scottish Cup double. That's the task at hand now. It's no good signing this contract if Celtic turn around and he's part of a defence that blows it over the next few games. So you've got to go out there now. It is a weight off your mind. Just focus on the task at hand, and that starts tomorrow by beating Hearts. And you kind of know that you're going to be an automatic first pick in that defence, barring injury, because the manager just doesn't clearly trust Mike Nawrowski, and he's certainly not trusted Gustav Lagerbielke for a while. So you've got 5 games now to sort of say, right, anybody who has doubts about me, here's what I bring to the table, and we shall see. And you might give the manager food for thought. But like you and like a lot of Celtic supporters, I think the consensus is that he's a really good squad player to have, because Celtic drastically need an upgrade in their central defence. I don't think, again, I get back to it, I don't think that's any slight in Scales. I just think that during this season, we have seen lots of, I don't think alarm and concern are the words, but things that moving forward, you just think, no, we need better. The team needs better. And I think a lot of fans think they actually deserve better. That's a different argument altogether, but I think a lot of the supporters would say with Celtic's financial position, you would say they're in rude health, aren't they? Rude financial health. So I think a lot of them would say they deserve better, especially after today when they've had their season ticket prices hiked up. I don't know what the percentage hike is, but I think they want to see some bang for that buck then, and more bucks that they're going to pay, Ryan, and I don't think that's an unreasonable request.
No, absolutely not. They want the best for the club. It's not entitlement, as people like to say. I think it's just a winning mentality. It's the Celtic way. At the end of the day, not to plug our own brand or anything, but it is the Celtic way. It's all about winning and getting to the best version that the club can be. Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't planned at all. It just came to me there. Shall we get on and speak about the manager?
We shall.
I think we've covered everything to do with Liam Scales. It's great to see him get his new 4-year deal. I'm sure it's a very divisive subject, but I'm quite happy with it for now. Anyway, especially if he's a backup next season. I think the only reason why people would be moaning is if he was a first choice player next season. But I think Celtic have got that in house. They'll be trying to find a player to play alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers for next season, I'd imagine. Let's go on to talk about the manager. And the manager was speaking at length today. I thought it was another really good press conference from Brendan Rodgers. Really enjoying his press conferences these days. I think he's very insightful with what he's got to say. Gets a lot of topics out of the way. Was talking about Cal McGregor's Achilles. He was talking about pressure scoreboards on Rangers, the fact that Celtic only have an advantage if they win the game, but they do have an advantage by playing first and getting those points on the board rather than playing catch up. Where do you want to start, Tony? What sort of comments do you want to start on? I thought it was a good press conference today.
I would like to start right at the start when he was congratulated for his Manager of the Month award.
It's a good place to start, Tony.
And he just swatted it aside, said individual awards are good, but we're more focused on team awards. Loved that comment. Just like, it's not about me. And if you look at the website later on tonight, it's that Celtic collective I'm talking about again, Ryan. It always rears its head at some point in every season. The managers, players and the supporters singing from the same hymn sheet. And they're all in unison. And they're all working together. And he spent majority of this season firefighting, talking about discord, disunity and disharmony. And all along he said there isn't any of that. And first question, congratulations, and how do you feel? And he was just like, it was his second of the campaign, I believe. And he just said, yeah, it's great. It's a reflection of what everybody's doing, the staff here and the staff, he meant here as in at Lennoxtown and at Celtic Park, and the players. He said, but individual awards are fine, but team awards is what we want, which I loved. That's a kind of, we're laser focused on this title running and, and Scottish Cup as well, because they want them both. There's no doubt about that. We can only deal with what's in front of you, and that's Hearts tomorrow. So I liked that from straight off the bat. And then he was asked about Dyson Maeda. He said he would come back into the side, talking about
the bionic man.
Yeah, talking about managing Callum McGregor's fitness as well, all that kind of stuff. And then there's a comment, I think it was Claire Best, who said he was brilliant about the Hearts game. What I was talking about during the week, this ain't no revenge mission, Ryan. This is the next game, and it's the one that he craves, the one the supporters crave, the one the players are clearly craving. But it's got nothing to do with revenge. They just want to sort of right what happened in the last two games against Hearts, because she said they never turned up in the one in December, and circumstances took it out of their hands in the one in March. So they want to, and then he referenced the 4-1 game, which I referenced as well during the week, by saying that's the scintillating level that they can reach. So he was, but he's been mentioning the Hearts game since last week at Dundee when we sat in front of him on Sunday. It's been uppermost in his mind, hasn't it? And he just exudes calmness and confidence and coolness. And he was asked about the decisions that were proven to be wrong on VAR that day, and he just said, "Yeah, it was what I thought at the time, but it's a month on, it's weeks on, it's where we're at. We move on." Loved that. Not getting drawn into anything, Ryan. Not letting it linger. And then even went as far as to praise the SFA for coming out with a bit of transparency and saying, well, at least we're holding our hand up, a bit of mea culpa, saying we got it wrong.
He's good at this media game, isn't he? He's good at this game. He's an adept hand.
Told you before, this is elite level stuff. Not getting drawn in. It's people talk, and say he's no elite level. He is elite level. He's elite level because this is part of his job. He doesn't get drawn in, and he's now got a squad of players who, they're on the same page. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about elite level. Not just results in the way teams play. He's had a lot to contend with this season. He even referenced that as well, with players without being injured. The transition from Ange Postecoglou to his system, well, it wasn't seamless. My goodness, it's not been seamless, has it? And the fact that there was a kind of groundswell as well when he came in to take the job for the second time. He was fighting that too. People maybe didn't want him back. Still people out there that maybe don't want him. So there's been a whole myriad of things he's had to contend with. They've got themselves into a healthy lead, they lost it, they're back in front again. All sorts of stuff, Ryan. And they're still at the front of, top of the Premiership tree with the intent in staying there. And I've said all along that the one major asset that Celtic had during any kind of title run would be the manager. And that's what I talk about. I talk about elite levels. It would have been so easy to go down the VAR rabbit hole today. Saw it coming a mile off, just swatted it aside. We move on.
Yeah,
Love that.
he's laser focused, and I do like to see that from the manager. Just feels like the hunger's back, that hunger that's been charging up this season. There was doubts about that earlier on this season. No doubts anymore. And I think the fans have not fully been won over. They've still been stung in the past, a lot of them, by what happened, by the way that he left mid-season. But a good way to go about that is by winning the last remaining 2 trophies that are available to Brendan Rodgers. If he can get this double, if he can even win the league, it's an added bonus to Scottish Cup. But you want to beat Rangers in the final, especially because it's Rangers in the final at Hampden. You want to beat any team at Hampden. Let's be honest, but you want to win any derby game that you go into. The fact that it's a knockout game, it's win or bust. You'd want them to win the double. I think that would go a long way to winning over some of the naysayers, because there are some that are still there, and there's some that won't be happy regardless of what he does, and that's people are well within their opinion to
Yeah,
have that opinion of the player, of the manager, because of the way that he left and the way that things were sort of severed in the past. But he's trying his best here. He's working hard to try and mend that, and it is slowly but surely mending, I would say.
yeah. I respect everybody's right to their opinion, Ryan. I'm not having a pop at people who are maybe not still on Brendan Rodgers' bus, train, boat, call it what you like. That's their prerogative. I've said before, I speak for myself as a Celtic fan. I don't speak for the wider Celtic support. Not because I don't want to. I'm just not that egotistical enough to think that I speak for a lot of people. So I speak for myself as a Celtic supporter. It just happens that sometimes when you say things, it chimes with people. They're tuned into that and they like what you say. Some people don't as well. So, and again, I'm quite respectful of that, as long as they're respectful to me. So that's fair enough. I've always said that our opinions on this and anybody else's opinions are no more valid than each other's. It's just that we have a vehicle and a platform to express that, and we try and tune in to what the Celtic supporters are thinking, and I think we do that pretty well. And we do it with humour, we do it with honesty, and we do it with professionalism as well. I'd like to think so. As I say, so it's just my feeling towards the manager, and I think, as you say, that groundswell is now. I think there are more people who are pro Brendan Rodgers now than are anti Brendan Rodgers. Yeah, is that? I think that's a fair comment, isn't it?
I think that's a fair, yeah. There is there was more dissenting voices at the start of this season, but I think certain results have galvanised the support. Don't want to speak for the full support, and I would never say that I do, but just thinking of the mood music, as you say,
Yeah,
the mood music seems to be more positive than what it was at the beginning of his reign. Think of
and I
those games against Kilmarnock, think about the
yeah,
game against Hearts. It's a lot more rosier than what it was.
and I think it's those last few weeks, the way he's conducted himself and handled himself. And as I've said, this is the guy who'll steer you over the line, who can handle the pressure cooker, who can take it all on board and relieve the players of that stress. He's even spoken about that today, saying it's his job to manage the stress levels and take it off the players. And, so I think every top level manager does that. And I think Brendan Rodgers has a way about him, and just a charm, and just the way he speaks. He's a wonderful, wonderful orator. You could listen to him all day. And I think the Celtic supporters now look forward to what he says on a Friday or whatever day there's a press conference on, and whatever his after-match thoughts are. Whereas earlier in the season, they were inclined to think, what's he going to say now? In terms of excuses. They weren't excuses. These are all facts that have happened. You're pointing out factual things that have happened throughout the season that he's had to contend with. And he's not mumped, he's not moaned, he's just merely spelled them out. But saying to you, when I get all these guys together and they're all fit, we're a good team. and I've been around the block. I know the terrain. You know, trust me, I'm a good manager, and I think and I know how to win this title if you just trust me, and we're all in it
Safe pair
together.
of hands.
And I think tomorrow, and we touched upon it in the morning briefing, there's a real sense of occasion about tomorrow. This is the closest thing that I can equate to a derby match. Tomorrow, that heightened sense of anticipation about tomorrow. And I think that's the kind of attitude that the manager, the players and supporters have got about this. This is a huge, huge game in Celtic's season, and it will be treated with the respect and the reverence it deserves. And I think you can tell that because the fans are so up for this, and they have a major part to play. And the manager spoke about that as well, didn't he? He spoke about how crucial they'll be in the 3 home games and help them. And I think it will be wonderful tomorrow. The atmosphere will be great tomorrow, I believe, Ryan. Even if there's a moment of adversity, I don't think they'll get on the team's case. I think they'll, conversely, I think it'll be different. I think they'll really get behind them, and I think that'll be a telling factor tomorrow. You're muted.
Correct. Yes, I am. I was muted. I didn't want any background noise, and then you get no noise when it's your turn to speak. Sorry about that. So yeah, while you were talking, I was just kind of reading through the press conference to see if there was any points worth discussing. I think one of the interesting ones is that Greg Taylor's contract is up at the end of next season, and he sounds like a player that Brendan Rodgers wants in and around the team. Now, if that could be the same way that Scales is potentially going to be about the team, where he's a second choice, maybe on the bench a bit more next season. Greg Taylor's a starter. He's been a starter for the past, 3-4 seasons now? 3 seasons at least, 4 if you count the COVID season in which he was fighting with Laxalt for that number 1 spot. But, he was getting a fair amount of games during that period too. With his deal up next season, do you expect that to be a foregone conclusion that he is going to sign a new deal? Because he seems to be one of the leaders in the group, happy with his lot. Do you see any chance of him leaving to go anywhere else? Do you think he will sign up again?
Yeah, I think he'll sign up again. If the manager's speaking about him in glowing terms like that, then you have to expect that a deal will be forthcoming. But again, I go back to it, Ryan. If you're asking me about the Celtic defence, 2 positions need major upgrades. And I think everybody's aware of that. Centre back and left back. And again, it's no slight on Greg Taylor. He's been a wonderful servant. But I think, again, if they can upgrade the left back position, then Greg Taylor will revert to a squad player. And bearing in mind, you could possibly play Greg Taylor further forward if needed, because he is good that way. And I think he started his career as an attacking midfielder. So, he's quite versatile and flexible that way, but the manager likes him, and he's got a bit about him. You can tell that when he speaks to the media, and he's well liked in that dressing room. Believe me, he's a very popular member of the Celtic team, and I don't think you can get enough.
Vocal and popular.
I don't think you can get enough of those characters in your team. But I think domestically he's fine, but I want better for Europe, Ryan. Whatever competition Celtic are in, and hopefully it's this new Champions League. I want Celtic to be the best version of themselves in every department, in every position going into this competition. This is a chance, it's a recalibration, it's a reset button push, and you say, let's treat this competition with the reverence and respect it deserves, and have a go at it. Be the best you can be. I'm not talking about spending crazy money, but I'm talking about spending money to make you truly competitive. We've heard managers and said it as well. We've heard Brendan say it, want to be competitive. Be truly competitive, Ryan. If that's the competition you're in, go in it to try and claim some scalps, especially at home. And we've fallen by the wayside in that in recent years. And for lots of Celtic supporters, it's not good enough. And as I get back to the financial position, it's not good enough for a club in that financial position. So that's all for the future. We've got a league to win, but I think certain issues must be addressed moving forward. And I think this manager's well aware of that, because I think he saw in that first half against Atletico Madrid what Celtic could be with the right kind of team, the right kind of player, right kind of quality, but the Champions League campaign lasts 6 games. It doesn't last one half. So, and I think we all got a glimpse of what we could be, and it hurt a wee bit, didn't it? That they've not given themselves that chance to be that team every time you go into that arena. And I think it's time for that mentality and mindset to change. Has to alter, Ryan.
Yeah, there needs to be a shift in mentality as well as a shift in players, and maybe not a
Yeah,
shift in players, but a bringing in a supplement players. You've got to supplement the players that are already at the club with new players that will bring Celtic to a new level. By their quality will then bring those other players to a new level. You see what happens when you dot quality in and around the
yeah.
team for other players. It works like that. I think it's going to be a very busy summer in that regard. I think there'll be players leaving, but I also think there'll be players joining. New recruitment team, new ideas, maybe new markets to go down as well, which will be quite
Yeah.
interesting. Hopefully, they've still got an eye on the likes of Japan and South America. I don't want them to be put off just by the fact that players haven't necessarily made it this season. There's still players to be had. Maybe you need to spend that bit more, that extra couple of million more. But you'd rather spend that bit more and then bring in somebody of absolute quality than risking a couple of million,
Yeah.
a couple of million less on a player that isn't going to bring you or isn't going to make the difference. You make the money back with these players in Europe, and I think next season is going to be massive for that. But what I will say is, we've had this conversation before.
Yeah. Spend wisely, Ryan. Buy good players. I know it's easier said than done, but
Speculate to accumulate.
really do your due diligence on the players that are coming in. I felt that the players that they brought in from Asia after Kyogo, Hitachi, and Maeda, I thought the players that they brought in was just lazy scouting. I've got to be honest, because they didn't strike me as being the quality that Celtic needed at that time. I just think they thought we've got a template here, and they made those players fit the template. And they said that they kind of weighed up their pros and cons and said they fit the prototype. That we brought in, and these guys were a success, so these guys can be too. There was no due diligence done there. That was just a look around saying he's good, and he's good, or he's all right. And I don't want that scattergun approach to it, Ryan. If you're going to go to South Asia again, then I want the best players. I want players that can come in and hit the ground running and do a job like Kyogo did, like Hitachi did, like Maeda did. So, got to really get that right. Sorry, on you go.
The difference is, and I think I'd also put Iwata into this as well, because I think he's really turned a corner in his Celtic career. You're
Correct.
signing the best players in that league. You're signing Kyogo was the best striker in the league.
Yeah.
The stats don't lie. He was the best player in that league at that point when Celtic signed him. Look at the clamour. Go back and read all the retweets, all the Japanese retweets and quote tweets when Celtic signed him. That was a massive deal then, and I think we only truly realised when he started playing for Celtic how much of a star he was. Hitachi, big player, he was called a utility player by some, but he's very good at football and utilising that middle of the park. Daisen Maeda, MVP or the top scorer. Iwata, actual MVP of the league, as a defensive midfielder for Yokohama F. Marinos. They were all the best players in that team.
So it's no surprise that those are the guys that have flourished, is it? And they were scouted by your previous manager because he had local knowledge of the league. Now, if you've got people with local knowledge, I use the term local knowledge, but you know what I mean. If you get people with knowledge, their knowledge has to be top notch. Andy's knowledge of those players was top notch. He knew them inside out. So, and nobody questioned it. And to a man, those four have given you what you feel you deserve as a supporter of the club. They are top quality players, other quality players. And again, if they're going to add to that from that market, then they really have to be bang on the button, and again, it just goes back to how last summer was just an abomination in terms of the recruitment. It didn't get any better in January, did it? So, we have to just let that go. And again, if Celtic are fortunate to win this title, get it over the line, get all the riches and all the prestige that comes with it going into this new tournament, then you really have to screw the nut and focus on where they're going as a club, what they want to be as a club, and how they want to be perceived in such a stellar competition. The Champions League era is kind of gone. It's the new Champions League era being ushered in. Don't be a bit part player. Be competitive. Tell us, be in the truest definition of that word that you always tell us every year. We want to be competitive. Go and be competitive then, if that's the competition you find yourself in.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new Champions League format. It's the same format that goes in the Europa League and the Conference League too, so it's definitely a format that Celtic will need to get used to. Good that they're doing the same format in all three competitions. I think that helps and it allows for growth from teams that will maybe be in the Europa League one year and the Champions League or vice versa. They'll be used to that system. I'm looking forward to seeing Celtic playing in that 8 games. They'll be playing up until January. So there will be Europe after Christmas, although that's a bit of a default as the schedule will have games in January. I think there's 2 games in January. So yeah, you will be guaranteed Europe after Christmas, but you want it to be further on than that. You want them playing in February and March time. If they can get into the playoff round, then it's anybody's game. All you need to do is get a couple of wins here and there, maybe beat the teams that are just slightly better and the like-minded teams, and then you'll suddenly be in a really good position. Very interested to see how it goes. It'll be like I don't think it'll be a trial run. I'm sure it'll be all organised by UEFA, but I'm looking forward to Celtic being a part of it. Whether that's the Champions League or the Europa League, hopefully it's the former. But this new model is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think it flicks the manager switch, doesn't it? You can see him kind of bristling.
Might be one of the reasons why he's back in the first place. He probably seen this change happening, and he's like, I want to get back on board with Celtic. That whets my appetite. Because it's all about reputation at the end of the day, and in football, reputation is such a massive thing. His reputation wasn't tarnished, but it was definitely hurt after the way that Leicester ended, after having been a really good Leicester manager for 3 out of his 4 seasons. He brought them the FA Cup. I think they got 2 5th-place finishes. It's just that last season where they didn't spend and they didn't get relegated as a result of that. This is a chance for him to rebuild his reputation at the Europe's top table. And thankfully, he's doing it at his boyhood team at Celtic.
In order to do that, Ryan, he's going to have to see everybody at Celtic Park in May, isn't he? As he proclaimed on the steps on his first day. For those of you that doubt me, I'll see you here in May. So it's now May. And I think every Celtic supporter's dearest wish is that they see the manager on those steps again, parading the league trophy or celebrating like a champion. So this is it. It's the 4-game title running. We're in the midst of it, and I like the vibe from the manager. But again, as you say, it's no saying it, it's doing it, isn't it? And I hope the team come out the traps tomorrow and play like the champions elect that we all hope they are.
Yep. Now, one of the last things that we said about this podcast before we went on to do it was we were going to make it a 20 to 25 minute show. We've went for 38 minutes thus far, but I've enjoyed the chat. I really have. Is there anything else you want to talk about with regard to Rodgers' press conference? The only thing for me that was really, I enjoyed all of his answers, but particularly the one on Callum McGregor, which is quite interesting about the Achilles injury.
Yes.
He's not been doing as much of the recovery. It seems that the recovery that he was doing has made him quite leggy in the games beforehand. That might have something to do, or it might explain why he looked leggy against Aberdeen and against Dundee and against Rangers. Now that sort of treatment and rehab is finished, he says that you might see a different Callum McGregor tomorrow than the one you have been seeing. He's not back to his full best. He's brilliant captain's best, but he'll be somewhere near his best, and that could be good enough tomorrow, couldn't it?
He's going to start tomorrow, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's what I took from that. For those who were doubting, I think he's going to start tomorrow. There you go.
I can put this up. It's not. We don't have an embargo, but I usually don't bring it up until we've published the article on the website. but we do have our predicted lineup. This isn't the lineup. We don't know what that'll be until 1:45 tomorrow afternoon. But this is the team that Tony and I have both went for. It's quite funny when we do these because we usually pick the same team or maybe one or two players swapped, but that shows a settled lineup. I think that'll be the team tomorrow. I think McGregor will be in there alongside Tati and O'Reilly. Scales will be in there instead of Navrowski. I don't think there's even a debate anymore of whether or not that'll be the case. I think the one debate is maybe James Forrest starting on the left or Daiz Maeda getting rushed back. I can't see Maeda getting rushed back. I think he's too important for the week after. Forrest has got to play and he's on form. That's two reasons. Forrest is on form.
Yeah, he'll play. Maeda will get minutes, but I think he marginally gets the nod as Kuhn because I just think Maeda will be being prepared for the following week. So you'll get game time and then he'll be straight into the team for the Rangers game. That's my thoughts on that. So, yeah, and people think we collaborate on this. We don't. We sit in different houses. As you can see, we're in different rooms or different houses, not in the same house, we're in different places. And it is uncanny, the fact that we pick the same team more often than not. But as we say, it's our predicted 11s, so feel free to throw up your own or say what you think or who should start. But, I mean, I'm just looking there and there's over 200 people joining us on a Friday night, and we thank you from the bottom of our heart, guys. It's Fridays are always a long day for the gruesome twosome here, but we get through it and we get through it with your help. So, yeah, we enjoy it. We enjoy what we do, and we hope that comes through in this. But yeah, that's the team for tomorrow that Ryan and myself have picked, and I think it won't be far off it, Ryan, if push comes to shove.
Yeah, it could be very much a Forest derby tomorrow. I'm saying that it's not a derby, but it could be a Forest derby tomorrow because James and Alan Forrest. This is probably the best opportunity for the two of them to play against each other, starting. Especially in recent times, I think they done it a few years ago. But you know, in terms of Alan Forrest, is a much better player than he was back then. He's playing for Hearts, one of Hearts' better players this season. James Forrest is having a bit of a career renaissance. So that could be a good sort of family battle between the two family ties. Hopefully that isn't a tie at the end of the game and Celtic have walked away with 3 points. Is there anything else that you want to discuss about the press conference or predicted 11s? Is there anything else jumping out at you, Tony? Or are we going to leave it until tomorrow afternoon?
I think we've exhausted every kind of possible avenue in previewing this Hearts game. We've got one more to do, the preview show tomorrow, when we'll know the starting 11. And Sons of Scotland will give you a prediction then. We usually do that on the pre-match show, so we'll give you a scoreline prediction then. And I always let the young man go first, and I go one up or one down. So it's always, but there you have it. But Chris Murray straight in, 3-1 Celtic. Take that, Chris. Take any kind of one, to be honest. But yeah, we try and save a little back, don't we, if we can, for the pre-match tomorrow. But there you go. It's 3-0 to the good guy, says Kaiser. Tam Max says he hates score predictions. Yeah, it's what it is. We just do it for a bit of fun, Tam. It's nothing serious. Stephen Kennedy, 4-0 Celtic, he's going. So, yeah, lots of positivity abounding. But I enjoyed today. I enjoyed listening to the manager. I enjoyed listening to Liam Scales. It's just a big game tomorrow, isn't it? I know they're all big games, but this one's really, really huge. And it's just get the
As they say down south. They say down south, huge game. It's a huge game, and the balance of the Scottish Premiership. No margins for errors. Well, actually, Celtic do have a margin for error, but we don't want them to have that at all. Keep on winning. Potential 2-3 games until the title, depending on the way results go in other games. That's got to be the aim. All they've got to do is focus on themselves. Looking forward to being back on this stream tomorrow at round about 10 to 2, 5 to 2. We'll be on reacting to the team news. We'll see what Brendan Rodgers goes for against Stephen Naismith's Hearts side. Can I just bring up before we finish off the offer that we're still doing? We do appreciate everybody that's joined us thus far on this. We're nearly close to hitting another incredible target, a target that I didn't think we would get to at this point in time, but you have managed to defy even my expectations, my lofty expectations, so I really do appreciate everybody joining us. 6 months of access for £1. a free Kyogo Furuhashi print from renowned football artist made by Frankie. It is incredible stuff. I've seen it in frames. I've seen it in pictures already. It seems to be doing the rounds. If you haven't got yours yet, don't worry. It'll be in the post very, very soon. They were getting done in orders of 250. That shows you how many people have signed up for this incredible offer that we've got. If you have not done so yet, then you're still more than welcome to join us. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. £1 for 6 months. That'll be you sorted until the start of, I think it's the start of October. It's 6 months from May. I need to do quick maths there, Tony, and I've been saying it for the past couple of days, and now I've completely forgotten what month we'll be in. June, July, August, September, October, November. Start of November. It'll be the start of November. You'll be able to get your thing going for. So if you are interested, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe and join us. Best Celtic content you can get on the internet, and it's all on the Celtic Way. Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure being on with you this evening. 45 minutes along with half an hour today. About 40 minutes today as well. So we've nearly went through a whole feature-length movie with each other. We'll be on tomorrow, probably for around about the same time, talking about the game pre and post-match. Tony, is there anything else you want to say before we finish off?
No, I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. We don't pay lip service to you. We genuinely love what we do, and you guys are always, as Tommy Bunn said, you're there and you're always there, and we appreciate it. And some of the viewing figures we get, they never cease to amaze me. Just people turning up, and the subscribers for the Kyogo Furuhashi print as well. Just wonderful stuff. We're trying to grow the channel, and we've been growing it organically for like 3 years. You've been here a year, and we've grown it even more since then. So we just thank everybody, because we know what this club means to everybody, and we all feel it. And it's days like tomorrow that we live for, and we can all feel it tomorrow, can't we? It's that excitement's building. But really thankful for everybody with their kind comments and just tuning in and watching us and always and enjoying it, because it's all about enjoyment, isn't it? But your moods are intrinsically linked with the fortunes of this football club. And but we try and provide entertainment, we try and provide laughs, and we just try and provide our thoughts on the wonderful entity that is Celtic. And we are just chuffed that so many people seem to enjoy what we do, and we're very thankful and grateful for it, and humble with it.
Yep.
So,
yep,
there you go.
Absolutely. We will be back tomorrow afternoon, round about 5 to 2, 10 to 2, 5 to 2, depending on how quickly I can get the graphic finished. Put it this way, the more changes in the team, the longer I'll take doing the graphic. Sometimes it's just as easy as copying it and pasting it into the stream, because it's already there because you've predicted the team. But yeah, fingers crossed that isn't the case, and we'll get somewhere near the team that we predicted, because it will keep us looking smart, and it'll save the work to do for the graphics too. We will be back tomorrow. You've heard the time. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Friday night, and we will catch you tomorrow, where we'll be previewing Celtic versus Hearts. We will see you then.